Welcome back to part 2 of Phoebe Handsjuk. This week we're going to go more into detail about her mysterious garbage chute death, plus the aftermath of what happens when a case is done just completely wrong. If you need a refresher, I would go back and listen to part 1. Otherwise, enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome. What the fuck? We'll just restart that. Blip, 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 blip. Here we go. Hello and welcome to Three's a Crime, a True Crime podcast. I'm Tori.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Lindsey.
And that's our intro.
Here we are professional podcasters.
We're podcasters, bitches.
Okay, so Aunt knows she's dead. They're AC/DC. They're in the rubbish room, like, doing their thing. So he calls Phoebe's dad to tell him.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Aunt called her dad to tell him that Phoebe was dead. And he said, you should call Phoebe's brother. If you two don't put your goddamn phones on vibrate,
my pocket.
I don't give a fuck where it is. Put it on vibrate.
AC/DC. That's gonna be our getting back to
AC/DC.
AC/DC.
So he calls her dad to say Phoebe's dead, and then he also said you should call her brothers and come here. Like, tell them. You should call them. Tell them to come here. Len, her dad, called her mom, Natalie, but she didn't answer. A little while later, she noticed that she missed 2 calls from him, and she called him back and said, "What's happened? Have you found Phoebe?" And Len said, "I hope you're sitting down. She's dead. They found her near the rubbish bins at the apartment."
Oh, fuck.
Okay, again, I find it really weird that they're all talking about her being dead, yet no one has actually confirmed that.
Because they haven't touched the body, but they did say, "Oh, she's dead."
No, I know, but I'm saying, nobody has physically actually confirmed
Yes.
that she is deceased.
Yes.
Yeah. They all just assumed she was dead.
Yeah, which is just weird to me. Like,
well, yeah.
Yep, she
You'd
did.
hope that if you fucking die, they'd at least,
somebody would, chug a pulse.
So when he told her mom, she fell on her knees next to her car and screamed, "No, no, no, it's not true. I can't talk." And she hung up. And then when her partner, Russell, came out to look for her, he had to, physically pick her up off the ground and carry her inside.
Fuck.
Which just makes your stomach hurt.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Russell then called Jeanette, Natalie's mother and Phoebe's grandmother, and told her to come to the house immediately. Jeanette was already in town for Phoebe's other brother Nikolai's 18th birthday. And this is in December, so it's also right around Christmas, so that's great.
As somebody, so my dad passed away 2 weeks before my birthday, and, it is never the same.
Yeah, I bet.
Ever after that.
When Jeanette arrived, Natalie told her that Phoebe was dead. And like I said, Jeanette, her grandmother, she was, super close with. So, of course, her grandmother was, totally devastated. At 10 p.m. that night, Detective Butterworth met with the forensic crew. Leading senior constable Bernard Carrick was now in charge of processing the scene. He could see that she was lying on the floor. It's interesting hearing all the things of people seeing the exact same thing, but each one is a little bit different. Because, again, no one fucking went up to her. They just, saw her from afar and noted what she fucking... So he could see that she was laying on the floor and had severe injuries to her legs and right foot. They also found a single lens of a pair of Prada sunglasses she wore all the time. So, like, was she going somewhere?
Mm.
Well, they could have just been on the top of her head.
She could have Guy Fieri'd it. Just put on the back of her neck.
Put him on the back of her neck. He was in Leavenworth last week.
What?
Yeah.
He has dumb hair.
Yeah, but, like, it's part of him now. It just is him.
It
he
is.
Can never change it. I hope
he did it on
knows.
accident, and now he's stuck with it, he said.
What, the, like,
The
crazy
blonde
tips?
hair. Oh, my God.
That's what happened to Bob Ross, man.
Oh,
He
yeah,
wanted
he
to
was-
change his
he
hair.
did
He hated that hair. Happy little trees.
Happy little trees. So, Carrick, again, he found the sunglasses. He also looked at the compactor at the bottom of the chute. So, the compactor had a giant blade that
Ugh.
was usually set to automatic.
Holy fuck.
Tori was like, nope. She
No.
literally stopped
I-
looking my direction. She's
No.
like, I'm just going to go in my
I-
happy little tree land.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's like I need to mentally put myself somewhere else. I'm like, I'm hearing you, I'm listening, but I'm trying really hard not to be there. I'm just looking at these starfish that look like they have chocolate chips on them.
It was a giant blade that was usually set to automatic, but it could be set to manual if you needed it to. So what this means was when it was set to automatic, anything that went down the chute would be compacted, okay? If I'm only laughing at Tori. Okay. So if it was on automatic, it, was going to be
like something
compacted
from
no
a
matter
horror
what.
movie. Like,
I know, that's why I'm not...
Photographs of Phoebe's body were taken, and it showed that the switch to the compactor was set to automatic, which means she did go through the compactor. Okay.
Oh my God.
Carrick took swabs of the blood. Just to be clear, they should have done that like 5 hours ago.
Yeah.
Right.
But whatever.
Well, and so unfortunately, I don't want to have this mental picture, but it sounds like it hit like mainly the left side of her body. Because it was like her left thigh, her foot,
Lower body.
lower body.
Mm-hmm.
Probably went down head first. No, feet
first.
first. Oh!
She went down feet first.
Oh, see, so that definitely rules out like, you know, oh, she dropped something and she leaned in and fell in.
There's so much, you guys.
Oh my god.
ACDC.
ACDC. There was blood inside the compactor, inside the room door, like I said. He took more swabs, and then he went upstairs to the 12th floor, where she supposedly went into the chute. And like I said, in the room, he found the blood on the concrete floor and the door, took swabs of all that. Again, they should have done this like hours ago.
Yeah, I'm like, what were they doing all that
I
time?
don't fucking know. Sucking their dicks? I don't
Milling
know.
around?
Come at me, Australian government, because that's fucked.
Mia's
Yeah, I
upset
mean,
for you.
You
Sorry.
have really seriously. This is a cock up of like epic
And
proportions.
it gets so much worse. It gets so
No,
much
I
worse.
don't.
There she goes. She switched sides.
She's down.
Okay, listen. If I have to suffer through this horrifying
You at least get to
story,
be comfortable.
This
do.
is what we chose as a profession.
Yeah.
We chose
Remember
this
when
true
you were like,
crime.
how can we talk about true crime and get paid for it?
right?
Um,
It's not that I don't find this interesting.
It's just fucked. So they went back to Aunt and Phoebe's apartment, and some more stuff they found. They found a journal of hers on the bed. And then further into the apartment, they also noticed blood on the floor, on a desk, and on the mouse and like keyboard of their shared computer. And in the hallway of the apartment was more broken glass. In the kitchen, there was a pack of Cymbalta, which is an antidepressant, some other medications, and the Post-it notes that I mentioned earlier.
Oh, I'm on that. Sorry, go on.
In another room, Carrick noted more documents and more blood. He made no note of this shrine-like setting.
I was just
Not
gonna
a
say,
single thing. It
Jesus
was
fuck.
not mentioned by anybody except Aunt.
Aunt. Fucking dick
Yeah.
tit.
And the apartment up until this point had still not been secured.
Oh
BT dubs.
What the
So they
fuck?
didn't even block the entry and exit points, and everyone could have just been fucking coming and going as they
Oh
pleased.
my good god.
Yeah.
Wow.
Later, during the inquest, an officer at the scene actually said that in the search of Ant's apartment, friends and family started showing up, and he had no idea how they even got there.
Oh my god.
They were just there.
What?
And, like, no one ever addressed it. They're just like, yeah,
oh
they
my
just came.
god.
At 2:45 a.m., Detective Butterworth had another look at the body and recorded more about what he saw. He said that she had a slim build, spiky black hair, and a pale complexion. She was wearing jeans with a studded leather belt. They were undone and pulled below her knees, but her underwear and bra were in place. She had a gray t-shirt and was barefoot. Her right foot had been almost completely severed.
Nope.
Oh.
It was hanging on by a few tendons.
Nope.
And they also saw that she had a ton of lacerations all around her legs, back, and butt.
Oh my god.
Her body was taken to Western General Hospital, and she was officially declared dead at 4:30 a.m. on Friday, December 3rd.
That took him a good while.
9.5 hours after her body was discovered.
Such bullshit.
And then she was then taken to the coroner's office. And the note I put in here was her fucking body was there for 9.5 hours and not a single person checked on her. And you can call a coroner and have them come in and say time of death because it makes more sense than what they did. Like, you go, you check her, you're like, okay, she's deceased. We fucking clear the whole thing and close, don't let anyone in or out. And then you call the coroner and be like, hey, there's a dead girl here. You gotta come declare time of death.
They come and say the hours of
Yeah.
hours of death.
That's not what happened. They took her to the hospital where she was declared dead and then took her to the coroner's office. So the other problem is, like, if he could have seen her in person, he could have, it just adds more to him figuring out her time of death because there's a huge window between
They would have had
11:30 and 6.
clues
They
and
would have had
evidence.
had anything to figure it out because you should do your fucking job, but he didn't.
No.
At 4:55 a.m., a fingerprint expert arrived. He tried the door to the rubbish room and the door to the bin that goes down the chute, and he also tried to do, like, around the chute door itself.
Mhm.
Downstairs, he tried he tried to find fingerprints to the door of the compactor room, and there was also a pipe that was in the room, and he's like, I'm just gonna try and find fingerprints, like, anywhere. He said, quote, no fingerprints of any identifiable value were located at any of the items that I examined at the scene. He didn't find a single fingerprint around a stainless steel garbage chute.
Never.
Does anyone here have a
Real
stainless
life.
steel refrigerator? No, none of us do, I don't think. But they leave fingerprints.
But I have had them in the past. I have had them in the past, and you literally cannot not leave fingerprints all over them.
Yeah. Another forensic officer came and they took 148 photos of the scene. None of the photos showed a shrine. Just throwing that out there. It wasn't until the following Monday that they had another crew come in to help. And I just put a note in here that if you've watched the first 48 hours are the most important amount of time after a suspicious murder. And they just fucking took their goddamn time. So I hate everyone.
I mean,
That's
was
wild.
the assumption that right from the get-go that this was an accident?
No, that's the worst part. I'm going to tell you what the goddamn assumption was. Police also didn't take a statement from Eric, the apartment manager, until January 10th, 2012.
Holy shit.
More than a year after this.
Oh my god.
Who the fuck?
They dropped the fucking ball so hard. It was also months before they took statements from anyone around Ant to confirm his movements on December 2nd. They didn't talk to any of his family, any of his work colleagues, nothing.
No.
Nothing. Until months. One of them I heard was 11 months later.
Jesus. I just...
It doesn't make sense.
Police even didn't contact the chute manufacturer to figure out. They basically should have figured out, is this even what happens when a person goes down a fucking garbage chute?
Yeah.
Like, they should have looked at all avenues. They should have done their fucking job. The blood in the apartment was found to be Phoebe's. These goddamn police never seized the computer to see what she was doing before she died,
What the fuck?
which would have helped create a timeline. Because, again, the only thing they need right now is a timeline. All they really need to, like, figure out, the CCTV would have figured it out, and then taking her computer and her phone would have at least given a timeline. Sometime after her death, her brother Tom hacked into her email and saw that all of her emails had been deleted.
Oh, for fuck's
Fucking
sake.
aunt, man.
At 11:15 on Friday, December 3rd, the morning after her death, Phoebe's family went to the morgue. And at first, her dad, Len, refused to let them do an autopsy because he was like, I don't want my daughter cut up. Yeah.
Though, I mean, I get it. It is.
I think it was just his initial response of
Well,
like,
yeah.
so we're going to do an autopsy. And I think he was just like, no, like, I can't. Like, please don't.
Right.
And so the coroner is like,
Yeah.
you don't really have a choice
Yeah.
because this is a super suspicious sitch, okay? And
Super sus.
super sus. The coroner also says, by the way, you have to be the senior next of kin to make that call. And her dad was like, I'm her dad. How are we not her senior next of kin? And he goes, oh, Aunt actually already registered as her senior next of kin because he was in a de facto relationship with her for the last 18 months.
What the fuck?
Which is really interesting that they could even do that considering they weren't married.
I know, it just is like a de facto relationship that they had been dating for long enough and living together, so it was just like, what?
This
Like a
might.
common
I've
law
never
marriage
heard
or
of this. I
whatever.
wonder
I've
if
never
it's
either.
An Australia thing?
I was
don't
gonna
fucking
say
know.
maybe it's.
Let us know, Australian listeners.
I
Yes,
don't know.
please.
They were asked to identify her to make and they did make a positive identification. On December 3rd at noon, the medical examiner began his autopsy. You notice that her jeans were extensively bloodstained and said, quote, the waistband is just below the knees. The right leg of the jeans is extensively torn. The black leather belt with studs is looped through the first and second belt loops at the front on the left. So they
Like,
weren't through all the belt loops.
Right. I'm thinking, like, is there any way that the compactor could have pulled her pants down?
That's what I'm trying to think. No,
Yeah.
if she went feet first.
He also said that her injuries were consistent with a fall down a narrow chute of approximately 30 meters. He said the injuries to her lower body were much more severe and that her right foot had basically been amputated, just below the joint between the tibia and fibula. It was
Oh,
attached by only a couple tendons, and all the major arteries that deliver blood to the feet had been severed, including the lower branch of her femoral artery.
holy fuck.
So, yeah.
So she probably was dead by the time, but still.
He said the injuries seemed to be inflicted by blunt force. The wounds had regular edges in some places, but the ends of the tibia and fibula were jagged. There was a subdural hematoma on the left side of her brain. He said, however, this could have been caused while the brain was removed during an autopsy, which, according to Elena in Morbid, is not that uncommon, and she's an autopsy technician. So, apparently, it's not uncommon for them to make mistakes during an autopsy or cut into something that they're not, yeah, and they just have to note it and say, yeah. She also had a ton of broken bones, but no neck trauma and no sexual trauma. He said that she died from multiple injuries resulting in significant blood loss. And then I wrote in big capital letters, she could have been alive, but we'll never know because no one checked on her. Her blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal driving limit. It also contains Cymbalta and the drug Stilnox, which is a sleeping pill, kind of similar to Ambien.
Oh, okay.
Where apparently, people do weird things on
Yes.
Ambien where you can, sleep, eat, and, sleep.
You do a lot of. People can do a lot of weird shit and
Yeah.
hallucinate and stuff.
Yeah. Cough medicine was also found in her system.
Dang, girl.
That's a lot of stuff.
They couldn't really find her time of death because 7 hours had passed from the time that she was last seen. There are 3 times of death. So there's the physiological time of death when all the vital functions have stopped, the legal time of death, which is what's on the death certificate, and then there's the estimated time of death that the ME estimates. The ME did not take a rectal or liver temperature, which are the 2 ways that you take the temperature of a body during an autopsy to find the time of death. The body loses 1.5 degrees per hour after death until it reaches room temperature. So
Wow.
it's very easy
To figure out.
to figure out.
I mean, how do you? Okay, I know that sometimes I can be a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but how do you not? I mean, every person
How is this avoided?
that touched this situation
How is this happening?
has royally fucked up and not followed any kind of standard procedure.
The girl who showed up on the ambulance said that she's like haunted by it. She's like the fact that I like listened to that cop and didn't go in there and like she could have been alive, like I can't.
But at the same time though, like if, the police are telling you you can't go in, you know what I mean? Like what
That's why serial killers dress up as cops, is because you immediately were just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's just, I mean, like the cops fucked up, the ME fucked up, and I mean, I'm saying fucked up in like very loose terminology because it kind of sounds intentional. Like you have to intentionally, if you're a medical examiner, like you don't forget
taking
to
the
take
temperature
temps.
is like the first
thing
thing
that you would
do.
do.
And the
Right.
sooner you do it after finding the body,
the more accurate.
Right.
yeah, the more accurate it'll be.
I'm like, it's just like I don't understand how this many mistakes could have been made.
Phoebe's clothes were sent to forensics along with the autopsy photos so that they could compare the clothes to photos, make sure,
Mm-hmm.
it all looks, yeah. They found that the blood and tears on her clothes were consistent with Emily. The blood and tears on her clothes were being worn as usual when the injuries were inflicted.
Her clothes were
She
being
was
worn
wearing-
as
yeah.
they would normally be worn.
Okay,
so
so
it's
then
not like she was
afterwards-
wearing them.
I put
below
white,
her
but her
knees.
pants were found at her knees.
Yeah,
so
right.
it doesn't make any sense. They knew that she had fallen feet first, so how did her jeans
Fall down.
end up around her thighs? So that doesn't make any sense.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about you reading that sentence, and then earlier when you were like, "I would be such a good secretary because I was typing so fast."
I'm like, I think I've looked at it too long, and I'm like, I don't even know what that sentence means. There were also 2 long rips in her jeans, but neither went through the fabric and didn't line up with any of the injuries on her body. They also said there were other tears that didn't go with any of the injuries, but then I thought maybe she was just wearing like ripped jeans. At this point, Ant put in a claim to receive the death benefit for Phoebe. His father, George, the retired judge, signed a statutory declaration to support this claim. However, he didn't really give the correct information about their relationship and made it look like they were together way longer than they actually were.
Mm-hmm.
Shade.
He ended up getting $113,000. And then after fighting with her family about it.
Well, yeah, because like it should have
obviously,
gone to her family,
Yeah.
not to him.
He ended up giving it to her family.
Well, that's
Yeah,
he doesn't get
decent
points,
thing
yeah.
that shit's done.
Yeah. So at this point, they're like, how did she even get in there? Like, she fell feet first. Like, how the fuck did she get in there? So on December 7th, Neil Boone, the managing director of the company who made the shoot, was invited onto the scene, and he was brought to the 12th floor with the medical examiner. The ME said that he believed a person of Phoebe's size was able to fit into the chute, but only if they went in feet first. Neil said not only does he think her getting in there wouldn't be easy, he also said that she wouldn't have been able to survive going through the compactor if it was on automatic, which it was. On the automatic setting, the compactor would chop the garbage and compress it into 400 millimeter blocks before even allowing it to pass through to the bottom of the chute.
Oh,
So question. Did you say that they found blood and stuff within the chute?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He said that there's no way that she could have passed through that compactor without literally being chopped into pieces.
Yeah.
But she clearly was.
Neil
Maybe.
said the only way that he could see this happening is if someone had set the switch to manual and then set it back to automatic. The police didn't even see that there was a setting about automatic versus manual because they're the goddamn worst.
Mm-hmm.
And the same day, the body was going to be released to Ant because remember, he's her senior next of kin.
Did this motherfucker have her cremated?
I'm not done.
No!
But the parents spoke to him through attorneys and agreed to have her body released back to the parents. But he refused to release his status as her senior next of kin.
That's so weird.
The same day, December 7th, Aunt posted on Facebook, quote,
Oh, God.
yeah, I know.
Here
Every
we
time I hear,
are.
like, they wrote a book or they
Does
wrote
he
something
still have
on
a
social
Facebook
media.
page?
I don't know.
What's his last name?
Hample, I think.
Campbell?
Hampel. It said, quote, for those of you around the world who don't know the sad news, my partner Phoebe struggled with terrible depression much of her life. She took her life on Thursday to ease her pain, to be at peace.
My
There will be a
God.
memorial next week.
Oh, my God.
So people see this and they're like, nobody said this was suicide. Like, he
Yeah.
literally posted on Facebook that she killed herself, and they're like,
No.
no one said that. So, what the fuck? So, the next day, Aunt wrote a long email to her parents.
He does.
Oh, yeah, no, actually, because
And
he
he's
had...
with another young...
So, what I actually
Wow.
didn't put in here yet was he actually had a second girlfriend who died of mysterious circumstances not that long ago.
Well, and he's got another really young girlfriend.
Wow.
The next day, Aunt wrote an email to Phoebe's parents and CC'd her brothers, grandmother, and his parents. He said that he was deeply hurt that her parents were challenging his position as senior next of kin. And he said he didn't want to fight about it, but he would, quote, permit Len and Natalie to organize funeral directions and make arrangements for cremation. So he's like, I'll allow you to have a funeral for her. I'll allow you to make her cremation appointment. Like, she's their fucking kid, and like, fuck you. So
That's just, I'm so mad. Ugh.
and the parents actually asked that nobody involved with the investigation be connected in any way to Aunt's parents. I'm gonna kill her. I'm about to kill her.
I'm sorry. He has a website, and there's a thing on here that says The Ant Rant, inspiration and simulation for creative live events and shows, new ideas, nutrition, unique travel experiences, and ways to support those experiencing grief, loss, or trauma.
Oh, I can't kill you over that. That was worth it.
I saw something over there.
Repeat.
The parents asked that nobody be involved with the investigation who's connected in any way to Aunt's parents. Because again, 2 judges.
Yeah, fuck that.
They're like,
would
I don't
request the
want
same.
anyone who even knows them.
Yeah.
His stepmother knew the medical examiner. Like,
Of course she did.
Who performed the autopsy.
Christ.
Aunt said that her parents' actions made him, quote, lose all trust in dealing with them and making any further arrangements to commemorate Phoebe's life. We will be arranging a private memorial. Jeanette and the boys are, of course, welcome to take part. And he said he would no longer be speaking with them.
Holy fuck, I would just beat the shit out of them.
So he basically just uninvited them to a
God.
funeral. The same day that the email came, the detectives told Len and Natalie that they believed that Phoebe's death was a suicide and was not suspicious.
Okay.
Could you imagine?
Not
I
suspicious
literally
at all.
pictured them saying that and then them responding the way Lindsey just did, like, wait, what? Like, no.
Like, there is legit a rage building inside
Building
me.
in her soul. Phoebe's grandmother was like, the fuck, she did kill herself. That is not what happened.
Hell
like,
yeah, Grandma.
absolutely
Right.
not. She said, 1, she would not have killed herself ever. She wouldn't have done it. And 2, definitely not around like all these family events. She's like, she was too thoughtful of a person to think about doing something like that around.
Well, and
It was her brother's birthday. She was going to dinner with her dad that night.
Yeah.
who thinks like, I really want to commit suicide.
Let's go jump in a
I think the
trash
way to do it is to squeeze myself into this fucking trash
Yep.
chute.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't like no.
No.
And way to go, Australian Oma. You tell them.
Seriously. So Phoebe's grandfather, Lorne, his 70th birthday was also coming up. Again, another family event that she wouldn't have missed.
Yeah.
Lorne, her grandfather, was a very well-respected, retired homicide detective.
What the fuck is going on?
So naturally, he's like, she didn't commit suicide. Fuck you guys. I'm gonna do like my own little investigation because
Right.
you all suck.
Hell yeah.
Well, and he would also know how badly they fucked this up.
Oh my god, yeah, seriously. So he immediately made an appointment with the homicide department. Before the meeting, he compiled a long list of things he believed that the police should have done but failed to do.
Shit.
Among many things,
Mm-hmm.
CCTV, seizing the computer, they didn't do the interviews, where the fuck did the broken glass come from?
Yeah.
Ugh. And the detectives were like, well, fuck me, we're satisfied with the investigation, it was a suicide. Smaller details also bothered her grandfather, Lorne. He's like, why would she wear sunglasses if she intended to kill herself?
Yeah.
Why was her flat iron plugged in? Like, she didn't kill herself.
No.
No, she
Right,
didn't
that
do
doesn't
it.
make
She
that
can't
doesn't
No.
make any sense.
You don't like do your
don't-
hair before you go kill your well, maybe
Right.
you do. But like,
I mean, you might, but not if you're gonna put yourself through a trash compactor. Like
Yeah.
maybe if you were gonna take pills and lay down and you wanted people to come in and find you like all, whatever. But
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, who the fuck commits suicide in a garbage chute?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Who would do that? Nobody would do that. Jeanette remembered that Aunt's family was also a little weird, so they kind of had like a get together afterwards with both families, just like a nice,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And Jeanette was like, I remember Aunt's dad kept saying to Phoebe's dad that she was a troubled girl, and at one point he said, of course it was suicide.
Oh my fucking god.
And she said that she remembered like 3 or 4 times that night that she heard it. And Felicity, Aunt's stepmom, was just going along with it. He'd be like, yeah, like, bummer, but we all kind of saw it coming. And she'd be like, yeah. So she was like, Jeanette, the grandma, was just like, like that just gave me creepy vibes that they were saying shit like that at like this family get together.
that reads to me like Aunt called his parents and was like, yo, I fucking killed my girlfriend. And they were like, don't worry, honey, we'll fix this.
Mm-hmm.
It just sounds to me like they've been fixing his shit for a long time.
Right.
This is just normal.
Skeevy, not on this dude.
So Detective Justin O'Brien later said that Aunt was also really weird. He said he observed no tears, no red eyes, no like real physical emotion being shown. That being said, you can never
Grief is
grief is a
Yeah.
fickle beast, and you can't really ever
yeah.
judge someone.
Well, yeah.
Another weird thing that this detective noticed, he said when they were in the middle of his statement, he asked the police if he wanted them to like type it up. I guess he goes, you're writing like my statement kind of slow. Do you want me to just like type it up for you? And they were like, sure. So he typed his own statement.
They let him. What the fuck?
Yeah, he's just like,
Mm.
it's just a weird, he was just acting weird.
Sounds like such a fucking sociopath.
So Vanessa
Ugh.
Levin, I don't know if that's how you say her name. She was one of Ant's oldest friends, and she said that she was with him a lot following Phoebe's death. She said that he would access his Facebook and act normal, but then when visitors came, specifically Phoebe's parents, he would get like visibly upset.
Mm.
She said he would cry and curl himself up on the couch, and she said these emotions were being controlled based on who was there at the time. And then when he was asked about this, he was like, how dare you like question my grieving process? And like, again, we can never, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But he's a piece of shit, so we
I'm
can
just here to tell the story.
shit about it.
The private memorial that he disinvited her parents to was held on December 12th. Her friends who attended said that it seemed to be about what he wanted her to be and not so much about
Who she was.
Yeah. All the photos, they said they just weren't really like her. They just were like a little stale. I guess
Mhm.
they just weren't really like they just didn't feel like her. And they even said that they kind of felt sick like upon leaving. They're like, I just felt kind of gross after I left.
Yeah, because it was really about him,
Yeah.
not about her.
Most of her friends weren't even invited.
Well, he hated her friends.
I mean, he hated
He
everything.
hated everything. He had to separate her.
Phoebe was cremated. Shortly after this part's really cool. Her father, Len, his father was Norwegian and taught him how to bend wood to make a Viking boat. So
Hell
guess what they did?
yes.
They make a fucking Viking boat.
Okay, that is the only part of this story
That is so cool.
amazing.
that I like.
So they put her he literally built a boat, and then they put her ashes in the boat with letters from the friends and family. It was covered in marigolds, was lit on fire, and was pushed into the
Oh my
middle of
god,
the
that
water.
makes me want to cry.
Oh
That's amazing.
My god, like that is what I want everyone to do to me when I die.
Oh,
Like,
Well, I
that
was
sounds like-
actually thinking, like, I bet you that's how husband wants to go.
Oh, 1,000%.
Better get that will going.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Oh my god. On December 22nd, Phoebe's mom, Natalie,
Natalie.
met with Aunt at a coffee shop near his apartment. And she actually said that they had a nice conversation. He gave her a box of Phoebe's things that she had requested. And so she's like, so I felt pretty good about it. Like it was, it was okay. When she got home and opened the box,
Okay.
No.
there
Okay.
were some things missing.
Of course there were. Trophies.
Phoebe's passport, her Medicare card, her laptop, camera, birth certificate, and her journals that she wrote in every single day. Like, her current journal she took with her literally everywhere. Literally everywhere. She wrote in it every day.
Wow.
Yeah, probably writing about what a fuckhead she was leaving.
She contacted Aunt and was like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
I
like,
want to...
where are these things?
Like, I gave birth to her. Can I have her birth certificate? Hello.
And why would he need to keep those things?
Exactly.
He did end up giving her the laptop and her wallet, but the wallet was basically empty. There was no ID, no debit cards, only membership cards and a passport photo of Aunt.
I don't understand this
I-
fucking
Yeah.
psycho.
I know.
Ugh, I'm so mad at him.
On January 24th, police brought in Aunt again to talk to him about the death at Lauren's request. Lauren was like, I got weird feelings about this. Is the retired homicide grandfather. So Lauren decided he wanted to do a test with the detectives to see if Phoebe could even fit herself into the garbage chute. So Lauren went to go see Neil Boone, which is what we saw, the manufacturer of the chute. And he said the police had spoken to him, but he was like, nobody gave me a chance to show them that the machine couldn't do to her what
they
it
said
did.
it did.
Like, again, he's like, I don't want people fucking knowing that you can just like toss
Yeah.
someone down there and they'll get their foot cut off. And so he's like, I want to show them this wasn't our fault. You
Yeah,
know?
Right, yeah.
February 18th, Lauren went to the replica shoot. So they had Phoebe's friend who was almost identical in size, which can we just say, like, having your friend do an experiment of how you died sounds pretty traumatic.
Yeah.
To open the door, just to give you like a visual, it kind of looked like a library, like book drop off. You guys know because you're 1,000.
No, I mean, we didn't have a separate room, but we had, like, that's what
Yeah.
I've been picturing this whole time because we had them in our dorm. Like, you had to pull them down. And I don't know if hers was like this, but ours had like a like it would
Spring load?
spring. Yeah. And
Same
so,
one.
like, you had to really, I mean, and it was heavy. You had to really hold it down
Yeah.
to get your trash in.
So it's kind of set up like a library drop box, and it's only about the size of like a laptop. To open the door, you have to open a heavy spring-loaded door, and then with one hand you drop the garbage in, and then you drop it, and it like shuts real fast. She was able to get one foot kind of in because they know she went feet first. They're like positive. Her second foot she was able to get in, but it took like for fucking ever, like
Right.
a lot. And in the video you can see there's two people standing on either side, like trying not to help her, but they also don't want like her fingers to get slammed in the thing.
Yeah.
She did finally get the bottom half of her body at which point the door sprung closed like on her back. The chute door is 67 centimeters off the ground at the bottom hinge, and then it has a stainless steel door, and around it is a 1 centimeter smooth steel frame, just like you saw.
Yeah.
You guys saw the door kind of sprang on her back.
Of
They needed
course,
to hold
yeah.
it open. It was
Yeah.
That's an episode of 60 Minutes. You can watch the entire thing if you want. It's really good. They actually had a second friend do it. Like another friend was there and was like, I want to see if she's like, let me see if I can do it. Same exact thing. She got her first leg in, second leg was really difficult. She had to put her arms over her head. They were like, there's no way she could have gone down with her arms at her side. And it's a trash chute, okay? And there was no nasties. She was wearing a t-shirt on her skin anywhere.
Right.
Which is weird. Her grandfather, Lauren, she also wasn't sober when she did this.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that these two sober ass girls can't get in there, hardly.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that like her drugged ass could like
God,
get up there?
Yeah, there's no way.
Hell no. And there was no damage to her hands, which you saw. If she would have gone down this way, it would have slammed on her fingers or her wrists or her arms or anything. Her shoulders were too wide to ever go down, so she had to go with her arms over.
Up. And they had to hold it open for her to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then actually when the second friend went, when she tried to get in, she sat on the chute door and the sides buckled. And the bolts started shooting out. So they were like, okay, so that's like another weird thing that didn't happen. So, and that's like a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, it would have caused the door to slam on her hands, but she had no marks. And then again, if you notice, she had to put her hands all over everything to get into the thing. And they said, no, there were no fingerprints. And it was stainless steel, would have had, and like I said, the thing only came out a centimeter, so she couldn't,
it's not wide.
Yeah.
And it was so tiny. Like, the box itself is so tiny. I mean, like, that's smaller than what we had in our dorms.
What did he say, like 37 centimeters or something like that?
Something like, I mean, it's not, I encourage people to watch that 60 Minutes because I think until...
You can link the YouTube video or whatever.
Yeah.
I think until I saw... that I didn't realize how
makes
small.
a huge difference. Huh?
It really does, because you think about I mean, even the trash compactor, or even the trash chute that we had that I was envisioning would have been difficult, but that seems
really small,
near impossible.
Yeah,
and I mean, you really would have to struggle. And if she was that drunk and that fucked up, there's no like, she would have fallen just trying to get the first leg in.
Yeah. So
and it's high up.
Yeah.
Like it's in the middle of the wall.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was low to the ground or
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I know.
Yeah, me. I just
No, I know. You're right. Like everything you're saying is right, but when you see it, it makes a huge difference.
It really does.
I'm
a visual learner, folks.
Lauren also wanted to see if it was possible for another person to put someone into the chute. So he had one of the girls pretend to be unconscious, and then he had Russell, who was Phoebe's mom's husband, boyfriend. He's like, literally just like toss her over your shoulder and see if it's easy to walk over to the chute, open it, and like put her in. And he did, and it was easy. He basically was like, yeah, she's over my shoulder. I've just got a free hand, and you just, just kind of put her feet in and
slide her in. Let it.
And again, if she's unconscious, you just kind of. So soon after this whole experiment, a witness actually came forward and said that they had seen a male stranger at 4 p.m. in the elevator, stocky with dark brown hair, a light colored shirt, and dark pants. He was holding an object about 20 centimeters long and 10 centimeters wide. He got into the elevator, he pressed 12, and he didn't have a key fob, which means that he must have been buzzed up to level 12. So they're thinking, okay, so we don't know what she was doing between 11 and 11:30 and 6. So maybe this closes in on the timeline if this guy was going up to see her. Like maybe she had a friend or like
or maybe he set up a
I don't know.
Or to drug her.
So
that's what I'm thinking.
They're like, he must have been buzzed up to level 12. But apparently the witness told the building manager about this whole thing. And he's like, yeah, I already told homicide. I already told like the detectives. And they just kind of like
brushed it off.
We're like, thanks. And like never addressed it. The witness was never mentioned. It was never like talked about ever again.
My God.
In the weeks after the death, a guy named Christo.
Oh.
Yeah, Mia.
Mommy.
That's right.
Montana.
I feel like that guy has frosted tips.
Absolutely.
He worked with Aunt, and he would constantly visit Beth, the concierge who found Phoebe. He would show up with flowers for her and kept saying things like, yeah, Phoebe was really depressed and couldn't be saved. Aunt did everything he could for her. Blah, blah, blah. And he came every other day for 2 weeks.
Ugh.
That is fucking
Terrifying.
weird.
Yeah. So
How do we know
gross.
he didn't stick her down the chute for Aunt?
Obviously the family wanted more of an investigation to be done, so they asked for an open inquest. So I think that this is one of those things that's just different in Australia to
Yeah.
hear. I have also heard that like a coroner in Australia is like similar to like a judge here. Like a coroner is
Oh,
not
wow.
necessarily someone that only
They have more power.
they decide if like something goes to trial
Yeah,
and
well,
things like that.
I
I
know
think it's
that
just the title difference.
and Australian listeners, you can correct us if we're wrong about this, but I know in England, when there's a death, they have an actual inquest, and it's kind of like a trial.
So that's actually what
Where-
they do here.
Oh, okay.
So that's perfect. That's what
Okay.
I was wondering if it was. So
yeah, and so like people come, like there's people in the, I don't want to say audience, but
it's
you
like
know.
a trial for more information before like an actual
like
trial.
people are questioned,
Yeah.
and
I guess it would just be like a trial
There's-
without sentencing.
yeah, there's more of like a panel.
Oh, okay.
And then, witnesses or people are called up to kind of testify about different things. And then at the end of the inquest is when they will say, I believe that this was murder, or I
Mhm.
believe that this was.
They'll kind of say their findings of what they think it was.
Right.
The family wanted more of an investigation, so they asked for an open inquest, which is, like I said, kind of like a trial, but for more information. They needed the medical examiner to sign off on it, the coroner. On March 26, 2013, the coroner agreed to have an official inquest into Phoebe's death.
Which we already know that person can't be trusted.
Before an inquest can happen, police have to prepare a brief for the coroner, and the officer that they chose was Detective Senior Constable Brendan Payne. He did a ton of shit for this case. On March 10th, 2011, he went back to the apartment, issued a warrant, and took possession of Aunt's computer. Aunt's computer and Phoebe's computer.
So this must have been before Aunt gave her computer back to her mom?
Oh, maybe this is just their shared computer.
Oh, okay, got it.
Phoebe's computer showed no activity after October 2nd, which was 2 months before she died.
Deleted.
But there was one item of interest on Aunt's computer. It was a coroner's office Form 25, which is the form for the release of a body, which is shown being pulled from the website on October 19th, 2010, which was 2 months before Phoebe died.
Okay. All right.
That's super weird, but it's not proof. It's technically
No.
circumstantial,
It's just.
I mean, it's circumstantial, but like,
but it's proof.
why?
Yeah.
Like, what could, like, was he ever asked even to provide an
I don't
explanation?
fucking know.
For why?
Anytime
he
you
was-
ask me a question that seems really obvious, I want to be like, I want to ask the fucking cop the same goddamn question because
Right.
seriously, like, what the fuck? I'm like, no, probably not. It probably wasn't done. Nothing was done.
Nothing
They
was
all
done.
suck.
They really do.
Detective Payne was like, this wasn't a suicide. I know it wasn't a suicide. There's no way. What also came to light during the inquest was 7 months after her death, this came to light. There was a mysterious cell phone number that was found in the pocket of her jeans that nobody talked about. Nobody talked about for 7 months.
Or cold?
No, nobody did anything about it. It didn't even come up. The number was under the name Tina Smith, and I think I heard that it was like written Tina Smith with a phone number. They look into it, the name and address attached to the phone number were both fake. Creepy.
So weird.
So weird.
Definitely weird.
You couldn't check Phoebe's phone or emails because guess what? They were all erased.
Deleted.
Detective Payne also talked to the medical examiner and asked about weird bruises on Phoebe that weren't mentioned in his original report. He was like, I'm looking at the photos compared to your report, and like, here's like 7 bruises that you don't even mention. And the Emmy is just like, they're just, she fell down a garbage chute. And he's like, your job is to make note of every single mark
Right,
on her
yeah.
body.
Point.
Like, that is your fucking job. So Detective Payne is like, make another report. This is bullshit. He also asked for the opinion of a forensic physician about whether or not still knocks mixed with alcohol could have like caused some crazy hallucination to cause like have this happen. Natalie, her mother, found an attorney, Simon Moglia. Phoebe's friend put together a benefit and raised $16,000 to help pay for it, which is really cool. Tom, her brother, also put up a fundraising site, and her friends all put together a benefit concert that raised $5,000. So they were basically able to pay for all the legal fees.
Good.
The hearing was December 5th, 2012, and Ant was presented by Elizabeth Breimer, who had a close working relationship with his mother, stepmother. Oh, I'm sorry, with Ant's father.
Shocker.
At first, Elizabeth Breimer said they were open to an inquest, but then she declined because she said there was no reason to believe it was something other than suicide.
Of course.
Lorne started sending letters around the apartment asking if anyone saw anything weird that day. He also spoke to Channel 7 News, which showed videos of the experiment. He's like doing anything he can to just like get information out there and find an answer. Coroner White, that was his name. So he declared the inquest closed. He didn't give any of his findings until December 10th, 2014, which was a year later. It took him a year to even like decide what it was. He concluded that Phoebe's death was an accident. He said that under the influence of still knocks and alcohol, she climbed into the 12th floor garbage chute while deeply confused and disoriented. No idea about the danger to her life. And when she sustained injuries to her foot, she later died because of blood loss. These findings ruled out suicide and the possibility of a third party. She did it to herself, but it was an accident.
Right. So basically, Lindsay just threw.
I just dropped my
Threw her fidget spinner.
That scared the shit out of me, which is sad.
So is it just me, or does it seem like they're like, okay, clearly the family's not going to accept suicide, so at least
You
that
better
we'll
just
say it's an accident,
Yeah.
and then maybe they'll accept
Because then it's
that.
nobody else's fault. You know, we're not
Right.
going to, it is an accident. It's just, see, it's very like
It still
Elisa
doesn't.
Lamb.
It still doesn't make fucking sense.
So I'm almost done. You're about to have all the information, all of it, and then you can solve it all you want.
And then you can die out love
You're,
it.
yeah, she's
I'm gonna
text
die
us and
out
say-
love the fuck out of this story.
We
'cause
received
I am
text
mad.
messages for like weeks.
Yeah.
That would be like, I just thought of something with the Dyatlov Pass one. It was amazing.
And it'd be like, okay, look, okay.
Okay,
look
but
at this.
what if they came from outside the town?
Poor girl, and then Emily would be like,
I've never
well,
even liked
there
either
was-
of you.
No, I love
Anyway,
it. I love it.
Whatever.
It's
Listen to me.
hilarious.
It
I get a
is.
text. You get a text from me at 11:30 saying I called the police because there were 3 shots on the road. So I mean, they really leaned into the still knocks thing, even though the doctors at the inquest said that the mixture of that and alcohol. They were like, that's a real stretch to say that like she was that turned to like
Yeah.
be able to get in there. And again, no fingerprints. It would have been so sloppy if she actually, oh my God, she wouldn't have even like,
It would've
no,
been- she
it
wouldn't
doesn't
even
even make any
made it.
sense.
Like,
No.
there's no. I don't think any reasonable person would honestly
No.
believe that.
Like I said, the inside of the shaft was filthy. She didn't have any garbage on her arms, any nasties on her arms. He also brought up that the injuries to her brain, the one that I said could have been caused by the autopsy, was actually serious enough to have knocked her unconscious if it didn't come from the autopsy. So they were kind of like, I wonder if he put this as like his fault, but actually it was like a serious
Yeah.
wound, you know, that he was just like, oh, it's because I took her brain out. Weird. That was a weird sentence, but you know what I mean?
I just took her brain out weird, guys.
I mean, no, like
It makes sense, yeah.
it makes sense, especially because he's, so first of all, I
Fuck out.
trust nothing that this
Dude,
medical examiner
seriously.
had done anyway, because clearly he did not.
He could be like, gravity's real. I'd be like, no, it's not.
He did
You're
not,
a fucking liar.
He didn't document many of the injuries. And yeah, if he couldn't explain away this, this trauma that could have knocked her unconscious, he can easily say, oh, this was due to the way that the brain was removed, or it was,
Or like all the
or
little
I made-
bruises are just consistent with her falling.
yeah,
So
I
didn't make
made
note of
this, it's easier for him to say, I made an error that he can't be in trouble
That's
for.
expected.
That's
Almost.
expected.
They're like, oh yeah, this happens sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Than to say, oh,
Right.
she had, blunt force trauma to her head, which knocked her unconscious, which had to have been done by a third party. Because clearly everybody's protecting this fucking shithead. I don't want to get sued.
So we're not saying that that's true. He allegedly is a fuckhat.
He's a fuck him.
Yeah.
He's a dick.
Yeah, you're an asshole. I can say that you're an asshole.
Like, I don't have proof that he killed her. It is just an opinion.
There was also a 1 centimeter abrasion on the side of her head above her left ear, which looked consistent with someone hitting her in the head.
That's what I was wondering with the glass. The broken glass and the blood drip.
There were also bruises on her upper arm that looked like grip marks. They said they were round and oval.
Here's the thing, though. If Aunt had come home prior to 6 o'clock, it would have been registered on his key fob.
I don't think he did.
I think he had somebody do it. I think he had that friend. I think he had his friend do it.
Yeah.
But how'd they get inside the building? How does a friend get in without...
She buzzed him in.
Stranger guy. Or maybe he said, okay, this guy's going to come by the apartment today and do blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
Or like something, I mean, when I had my
friend.
apartment, if someone went in ahead of you who had a key, you would just say, can I just...
Yeah. You just follow through.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to clarify that even if Aunt didn't do this or didn't have any part in her death, you still dick. Lindsay's over there going,
he had told police also, and I think her family, that he, she was like fighting off a hangover. And so he said like he came home and checked on her once, but like there was no record of that on the key fob thing.
And he's been and he told police like, I kept checking on her, like,
which I don't
via phone or text.
Yeah. Apparently, he said he came home once to check on her and she was fine. But again, there was no other witness to that, and there wasn't on the key fob. On his, yeah.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
How is there CCTV of her leaving the building to, like, during the fire thing?
But and not the rest of the time.
Yeah, not the rest of the day.
That was outdoor cameras. Maybe they were different. In the image, you can see it.
And it was outside.
So outside,
it wasn't...
her going in and out was an outside camera. Okay, so maybe it was on like a different system or
probably.
Something.
Okay.
Yeah. The dude in the elevator, random man in the elevator,
fucking elevators,
and they never were able to find out who this person
They just never addressed it. Oh, they probably could have found out. They just chose not to.
Right. But that's what I'm like. That's kind of my point. Like,
they did not law and order this shit.
Detective Payne asked Aunt to make a secondary statement for the inquest. He showed up with his dad.
Of course he did.
Payne tried to get a private statement, but his dad wouldn't allow it.
Of course not.
Which I kind of don't blame him.
Oh no,
I'd like the
wouldn't
dad.
Either.
Fuck Aunt. Yeah, I would be like, no, don't fucking shut your damn mouth.
Right.
You don't say anything.
Yeah.
The witness from the elevator was never brought up again. One of the officers at the scene said that there was a trail of dirt marks down the hole.
Down the hole.
Down the hall of the 12th floor that he said resembled either a very tall person or someone running. They were never photographed, sampled, measured, or examined.
Fantastic.
The coroner just assumed that she was drinking from the glass and accidentally dropped it. He said that she must have cut herself while she was picking up the glass to put it in the trash, but there was no glass found in any waste bins. There were 2 glasses in the apartment. One was broken and one was on the counter. Neither were checked for fingerprints. The counsel who assisted the coroner, her name was Deborah, some last name I can't pronounce. She produced a closing submission comprising of 68 pages. She was asking that Coroner White would come back with an open finding, which means that at the end of the inquest, an open finding means that we'll say it's an accident, but we aren't entirely positive. So if more evidence comes to light, we'll kind of
instead of closing it.
She specifically advised him against making a finding of suicide, misadventure, death caused by borderline personality disorder, a finding that determined whether a third party was involved or not involved, a finding which exonerated Anthony from complicity. And it's super rare for a coroner to ignore like his counsel's recommendation. So she was like, I don't think you can say 1,000% it's not any of these things. Like, we have to keep it open because this is fucking weird.
You know, one thing that I keep thinking about is so Aunt and Phoebe would break up, make up, break up, make up. But I think it was the fact that this time she was gonna leave him.
Mm. And if you listen to Phoebe's fall, there's like stories that she was on the phone with her mom, who was like gonna like invited her on a trip to Paris for her 21st birthday, and they didn't go. And so I like allegedly she called her mom a few weeks before and said like, hey, I think we should take that trip like really soon because I think I'm gonna need to like
Get out.
she essentially like was like leave the country. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I need to like leave here. I think she was really scared.
She wasn't feel. Yeah, she
Yeah.
didn't feel safe anymore. Or ever.
Yeah. Phoebe's friends and family believe that she was going out that night. What?
This
That's-
happens to all of us.
Yeah. Always at the end.
I
It
don't know
is,
why I
like-
said that. So they wanted an appeal, right? They're like,
Mhm.
but apparently at this time, if they even found lawyers that were going to do it pro bono, and the lawyers were like, totally, we're going to do it. But here's the thing with the law here: if we lose the appeal, it's going to cost you like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like you'll lose like everything. And so, at the time, it was almost impossible to appeal coroner findings, and at the time is only like less than 10 years ago.
I was gonna
Right,
say it wasn't
yeah.
even that long ago.
It was like if he said it,
That was it.
it was it. A huge call at this point was put out to amend the Coroner's Act to make it easier to appeal. In December 2016, the government announced that due to public outcry over the Phoebe Handsjuk case, there would be a review over the current Coroner's Act.
I think there should be a review of the current coroner's actions.
Yeah, fair.
Or lack of.
This is where the case remains, and the inquest was closed, and it was all determined to be an accidental death.
This was not an accident. I'm sorry.
And I absolutely ran out of time, but he did have a second girlfriend, like within a couple of years, who also died of mysterious circumstances. She hanged herself.
Oh,
Sure she did.
Just
Okay. So I'm not saying that he did it because I don't want to get sued. But I mean, like, I'm not saying that he did it, but
sure is suspicious.
it is very
very
suspicious.
fucking suspicious.
And
It's very
either
shitty how he.
either
treated
he's
those
had
girls.
something to do with it, or he's driving these women, like whatever, like however he's treating them is driving them to suicide. So, Aunt, you better check yourself.
I
before you
refuse
wreck
to
yourself.
believe that you can put yourself in a trash compactor.
No.
I mean, I
There's-
refuse to
no.
believe that you can put yourself in a water tank, but I was proven wrong. But the trash compactor thing is very like, it's not like a dumpster where you can just
Yeah.
like fall in. It's like you
No.
really have to try.
No.
And she was athletic
And
like
when we talk about Elisa Lamb, though, and the water tower, like that was a relatively large opening.
so. I mean, what?
All right,
I-
yeah, Lindsay, what do you think? What do you think happened?
What do I think happened?
Yeah,
I think he had somebody do it.
She was offed.
I think she was off. He had money. He
Yeah,
had power.
there's no way.
I really think, yeah, it was.
Coincidences, that many coincidences, man, is just not.
And the broken glass could have been she, fought back as she could.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. They're like, they just assumed she dropped it. She could have thrown it at someone.
Yeah,
There could have been
'cause-
2 glasses because someone else was there.
that
Like-
like that's what makes sense to me. That there would be 2 glasses out because she had that, and either she tried to fight back or she turned her back and he whacked her.
Or maybe she
yeah.
was scared. Someone comes into your fucking apartment. You're like, who the fuck are you? I don't know. Like, it could have
I
been
think
anything.
maybe it was a friend.
That's kind of what I was wondering because we always
An
know
aunt's friend.
forced entry. Like
Yeah.
someone she felt comfortable being like, okay.
Yeah, because she had
well, she knew,
candle.
like you said, if Aunt had said, "Hey, this guy's gonna stop by today,"
Yeah.
she might have left. And something that I didn't think about, but what caused the fire alarm?
Actually, it was. Remember how I said that there were men working on an upper building?
Oh, yeah.
There were 2 fire alarms that day, which is just an eerie coincidence. Because the like dust and smoke coming off their tools caused 2 false alarms. Yeah, just
Okay. Because I was like, what if the fire alarm
a
was to get
distraction.
everybody out so that somebody else could
yeah. They
sneak
said it
in?
was just like a total. It just
But then
happened
they
to
wouldn't
be.
see.
I don't
Well,
know.
like I said, I don't know that there isn't any proof that Aunt had anything to do
No,
with
it's
it.
all alleged. Ugh.
But I feel like his reaction was not what you would normally see. And again, like he wanted control over her death, essentially.
Like, what about her pants? What happened to her pants?
That's what I keep thinking about, and I'm not coming to anything.
What if when
Maybe she was
whoever
getting
it
changed
was,
for dinner. They whacked her.
Or
on the
they
side
did
of the
that to
head.
make it look like
Maybe make it
know.
mysterious. Like they're like, ugh.
or if when somebody was trying to shove her in the trash chute,
but they went down. I already thought of that.
First.
right? So okay, my thing is like, okay, what if they were trying to, they're trying to shove her in, and maybe it catches on something and
So they're
pulls
like,
down.
Oh yeah, they're
Like-
like holding the waist, and then
They're holding the waist. They're trying to
and
shove
that
her
thing
down.
is
Or maybe even thinking that if they took the pants down, maybe she would have slid in easier.
Why
yeah.
don't you just take the pants off then?
Because then you have to take off her shoes. I mean, they're holding her.
She didn't
and
have any
trying-
shoes on.
Oh, that's right. She was barefoot.
She was just in like a gray.
Maybe they
Actually, if you
just
look at
needed-
the footage of her coming out of the building, she just has a gray tank top on and jeans. I'm glad this is over. That was a doozy. That was a
Ugh.
doozy of a story. So
Oh, that story of Phoebe's.
sorry, Phoebe.
May you be haunting him
Yeah, I
in
hope
not
forever.
nice
I
ways.
hope you haunt him every day because he
Yes.
deserves it. Okay.
We'll see you guys. Not really. You'll hear us.
Next week.
Yeah.
Where we're gonna finish out the Warrens.
The Warrens.
And then we're done with that fucking paranormal bullshit
Yep.
that's been going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
guys, I love you.
Remember who you are and what you represent.
Yes. Love you
Okay,
guys.
bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. We put out new episodes every single Wednesday, and if you're impatient like me, be sure to become a Patreon where you can get your episodes early each week. For as little as $5 a month, you not only significantly support the production of this podcast, but you'll also get ad-free episodes in addition to them being early. For pictures, videos, and links related to this episode, be sure to check out our Instagram at threesacrime. And for more information, go to threesacrime.com.